As a recovering alcoholic, the only regret I've got is, why didn't I get sober earlier? And why is it so hard for us as alcoholics to quit drinking? That's the question, isn't it? Why is it so difficult? Because it becomes so difficult that it consumes your whole life. And we often want to stop, but we can't. Is it because we like it too much, or it controls us, or otherwise? So that's the question. Why can't we just stop drinking? Maybe the answer is because it's a highly addictive substance, isn't it? It's just another drug, although it's legal. The problem is, once you get into a habit, I think it becomes an addiction. Because mine was a habit of drinking, which I used when I was younger, to be social, to be less shy, and what I thought was to relax and to sleep better, but it didn't obviously sleep better. It doesn't make you sleep better. It's mind altering. You make crazy decisions, you become stupid, you become pretty immature at times. I didn't get in any major trouble, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't a good person. But I did enjoy the feelings of feeling a little bit, not out of control, but a little bit crazy, a little bit daft. I never touched any other drug because alcohol was enough for me, if that makes sense. Because a lot of people say alcohol is a gateway drug. I'm not so sure about that. Most of the guys I used to drink with didn't have any other drugs. It was just alcohol. So I'd never done any crazy things like LSD and cocaine, anything. I couldn't afford it, for one thing. When I was a young man in London, it was, well, expensive enough just to drink, regardless of having any other sort of drugs. But when alcohol gets a grip of us, then it changes it changes your mind. I'm not really, I know I'm not a scientist, but it changes. It's a mind altering drug, isn't it? And it does sense a bit daft. So when you go to a pub, or when I go to a pub now, I just drink Guinness Zero or any other alcohol-free drink. I don't stay long, because my attention span to drinkers is very low now. And I just think, well, I've had 20 minutes of their crack and I can't be bothered anymore. But had I been drinking, I would have joined in the fun, what I thought was fun at the time. But with alcohol, there's a physical and there's also a psychological dependence to alcohol. And this combination makes it very, very difficult to come off. So at what point do you think you became dependent? That's the question, isn't it? And I think mine was when I went from hangover to withdrawal. And that was when I started to have hair of the dog, I suppose. The hangover was so bad, it was moving into withdrawal. And then I became from a sort of hair of the dog type person to a top-up drinker after I retired. And I was drinking all the time because I was physically dependent on it. And I didn't know at the time when I tried to stop suddenly, then I had a seizure. And it was horrendous. And from then on, I was always frightened of having a seizure. So every time I tried to cut down, then I felt, wow, I better have another drink. Because I don't feel well now. When you start to get the shakes and you get these chemical and physical changes within your body, you feel rough. And you feel frightened. And alcohol suppresses your brain activity, It's a really bad thing. It's a really bad thing. It's advertised as a fun thing, but it's not. And we all think of it as a stimulant because when we first drink, we think, well, it's great fun, you feel a bit better, inhibition's lower, and you feel like you're getting more energy. Because sometimes when I felt really rough in the early days, I'd had hair of the dog, especially on holiday. Then after about 2 or 3 drinks, I felt good again. I had my energy level. was higher, you know. And my ex-wife used to say, I don't know if you're diabetic, I wonder if the sugar in it is actually making you feel better. But it wasn't that. It was something to do with the central nervous system and the body, and it got used to that. And when you stop, suddenly that's when your body goes into shock. And it's a very complicated drug, alcohol. And I'm sure that, well, it's been talked about many times. If it was around, or if it was invented today, it'd be banned, because it's cost the NHS millions of people die every year of it. Millions of people around the world die of it. And yet it's available everywhere, isn't it? It's everywhere you go nowadays. Even you pull into a petrol station, there's 24 hours off license, 24 hours drink available. You can go and get a bottle of wine 3 in the morning, can't you? A few cans of beer. In fact, I had a friend who used to do that. He would have a few drinks in the pub and his wife would say, that's it, that's enough. And then he would sneak out at 4 o'clock in the morning onto the main road and go to a filling station, get himself some cans of cider and just drink them in the street. So the availability is crazy, isn't it? So we can't just stop, because we get addicted physically and mentally. And it becomes a point where when you go into withdrawal, it can be very acute and it can kill you. It's one of the only drugs that when you withdraw, it can kill you. And it's really, really, it's difficult to explain, but to me, the anxiety was the main thing that caused me so much anxiety that I felt ill all the time with the anxiety. I was worrying all the time. I was paranoid by it. I felt as if the whole cycle of it had me in such a rut, I couldn't get out of it ever. That was the problem. And you get to a point, you get to a low point, and you think, I'm never going to get out of this. And I'm amazed that I'm here today to tell the stories, because it brought me down from being a very strong man to being a mouse, and I couldn't function at all. And the fear of withdrawal is a real, real feeling. And you've got to try and get some help before that, because when you go through withdrawal, it's the most frightening thing you can ever experience. It's absolutely unreal. I've been through some sticky situations, I've been through some trauma in my life. But the fear of withdrawal is by far the worst fear I've ever had. Because you don't realise, you feel out of control. You start to shake and you start to sweat and you can't eat and you feel nauseous. And I used to cough up bile all the time in the morning. Then I'd have a couple of sips of drink, then I'd regurgitate that. And it wasn't until I had a couple more that I felt at least stable, but still felt ill. I felt ill all the time. I was constantly tired. I was constantly run down. I used to get a lot of colds and flu. Since I've stopped drinking, I don't get any colds or flu. I feel healthier, I eat healthier, and I sleep properly. When you become sober, it's not an overnight fix, you know. It takes a while for you to get yourself stable and for your body to settle down, for your mind to settle down. In my case, my anxiety was so high, it was horrendous. So, you know, try and get some help early on. Don't let it go to the stage I got to, where I nearly died, because it was just horrendous. For 5 years I drank and I self-medicated with alcohol. And it's a disorder, it's been recognised as an illness now. And you'd be told by your doctors, maybe taper off, do something about it, do your best, and just go back to the doctors and go and say, I can't do this on my own, and see if you can get some help. Contact me, contact other people on YouTube, contact the subscribers, most of whom have got some alcohol problem, and you get some help, you get some advice. Because once you're sober, the next hurdle is to stay sober, and that's another story, isn't it? Get in touch with me if you've got any issues. I'll put all the relevant numbers and emails in the description. And like and share the videos, please, and we get some more people on board, get some more knowledge in the group, and we'll save some more lives. Take care.